All right, let's dive into a pretty wild legal battle that's been brewing in the podcasting world. We're talking about media personality stuttering John Melendez, who's suing two other podcasters, Carl Heberger and Shali Egger. This case has it all: allegations of secret recordings, public ridicule, and a huge fight over fame. So let's get right into the court filings.
So the whole thing really kicks off with this explosive claim. Right at the heart of Melendez's lawsuit, he's alleging that the defendants built their shows around phone calls that were illegally recorded, basically using his own voice against him to make a profit, and doing it all without his permission.
But hold on, because the defendants fired back with a completely different story. Their legal filings say Melendez wasn't a victim at all. In fact, they argue he was in on it the whole time, that he knew perfectly well he was being recorded. So you've got two sides, two totally opposite narratives. The real question is, who's telling the truth?
So yeah, on one hand, you have a claim of illegal spying, and on the other, a claim of full consent and a lawsuit designed to silence critics. We're going to walk you through the actual court documents to see exactly how each side is making their case.
Okay, first up, let's look at the plaintiff's side. John Melendez is claiming this wasn't just some random criticism, but a targeted campaign to exploit his identity for cash.
According to the complaint, this went way beyond simple commentary. This was a business model. Melendez alleges that these guys built entire events, like something called DabbleCon 2, all centered around his persona. You know, using his name and his voice to sell tickets and merch, and he didn't see a dime or give them the okay to do it.
And we are not talking about small change here. The price tag on this lawsuit is pretty steep. Melendez is going after $600,000 in damages. Half of that for the harm he says they caused, and the other half in punitive damages, to punish them for what his lawsuit calls willful and wanton behavior.
Now let's get to the most serious part of this whole thing, those secret tapes. This is really the core of his claim that his privacy was invaded.
Okay, so here's the story that Melendez's lawsuit lays out. It alleges a whole scheme, that one of the defendants, Shali Egger, talked to third person, Kate Meany, into secretly recording her phone calls with him. And this is a huge deal, because Melendez was in California at the time, which is a two-party consent state. That means everyone on the call has to agree to be recorded. He argues these recordings were totally illegal and were then just handed over to the defendants to use on their shows.
So that's the accusation. Now, let's flip the script and look at how the defense responded. They didn't just deny the claims. They came out swinging with what's called a motion to dismiss the entire lawsuit. So what exactly is a motion to dismiss? Well, think of it as a legal knockout punch. The defense is essentially going to the judge and saying, look, even if you pretend for a second that everything the plaintiff is saying is 100% true, he still doesn't have a legal case. It's a bold move to try and end the fight before it even really begins.
And their argument is a full frontal assault. They claim the main allegations are straight-up lies. They argue Melendez is a public figure so people can talk about him. They say the lawsuit is a violation of free speech laws, and to top it all off, they claim it was filed in the wrong court anyway.
Now, a really key part of their defense is this term anti-SLAPP. SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. So the defense isn't just saying they're innocent. They're accusing Melendez of filing this lawsuit as a weapon, a way to bully them with expensive legal fees and scare them into silence.
And to back up this claim that Melendez's allegations are knowingly false, the defense pulls out what they clearly believe is their ace in the hole, a video published by, you guessed it, Melendez himself.
The defense's entire argument really boils down to this one simple question. Because the whole case, the entire foundation, rests on the idea that these recordings were a secret. But what if they weren't?
And boom, here it is. This is the quote the defense is banking on. It's from a video where Melendez allegedly flat out says, "I know she's taping me. We've known since the beginning. I knew from day one."
See, this is why that video is so critical. If Melendez knew he was being recorded, there was no illegal wiretapping. It's as simple as that. The defense is arguing this video is stone-cold proof that he consented, which would mean his entire lawsuit is built on a foundation that he knew was false from the very start.
Okay, so moving beyond the whole secret tapes thing, this lawsuit also gets into a classic, much bigger legal debate. Where do we draw the line between a person's right to their own image and the public's right to talk about them?
So you have these two totally different views. Melendez's camp argues that what the defendants were doing wasn't real commentary. It was just salacious entertainment designed to make money. But the defendants are firing back, saying that mockery and even ridicule of public figures is a form of commentary, and it's protected by the First Amendment, even if you make a few bucks doing it.
And then there's this whole other legal headache for the plaintiff, the location. Melendez filed the lawsuit under a New York law that's really meant for New York residents, but he lives in Florida. So the defense is basically raising their hand and saying, excuse me, Judge, but he's not even playing in the right ballpark here.
And this is where it gets just fascinating. In a pretty brilliant legal move, the defense actually uses Melendez's own words from past court documents against him. To prove that he's a public figure who's open to public commentary, they literally quote a filing where he described himself as a huge celebrity admired by tens of millions of fans. Ouch.
So, with all these bombshells and two completely conflicting stories, where does that leave everything? What's the next step?
Well, right now, it's pretty much a waiting game. The motion to dismiss has been filed, all the arguments are on the table, and a judge has to sift through all of it, including that video, and decide if there's enough of a real legal case here to even let it continue.
And really, it can only go one of three ways. The judge could agree with the defense and grant the motion, and poof, the lawsuit is dismissed. Done. Or the judge could deny it and the case moves forward into the discovery phase. Or there's a middle ground, where the judge dismisses some of the claims, but lets others survive to fight another day.
This whole case really puts a spotlight on that blurry, messy line between free speech and outright exploitation in our modern digital age. But maybe the biggest, most mind-bending question it leaves us with is this. In a world where we all leave a digital trail, can your own words, posted online for everyone to see, actually become the evidence that dismantles your own legal case before it even gets off the ground?